Leaving the Oslo Airport terminal is only possible through an airlock system aptly nicknamed the mousetrap. The algorithm is utterly mechanical. A few seconds of agonizing wait, the automatic doors slide open. 2 steps forward and the doors snap shut behind you. A soft, synthesized female voice from hidden speakers instructs you to place your hands on the aseptically treated glass handrails and look straight ahead. If the scan detects an anomaly, the cabin floor drops away silently, and the next, less observant passenger won't even have time to wonder why no one ever came out the other side of the airlock. Given what Irene plans to pull off in Bergen, she has every chance of testing the mousetrap mechanism firsthand. But right now, the same synthetic voice, offering perfunctory thanks and apologies for the delay, swings the door open before her, releasing her onto the terminal square. Passengers hurriedly scatter to their personal cars, taxis, and shuttles, eager to shake off the sticky numbness of the security check as quickly as possible, as if leaving a confessional booth where, with every passing second, you paranoids wait for the system to throw an error. An ordinary Norwegian day unfolds around her, not entirely clear, but not gloomy either. The sun shines in an everyday manner, filtered through a dense, cloudy lens. However, to Irene, who has just broken out of Arizona, everything here seems unfamiliar. The cubicle doors open differently. The air smells differently. Umbrellas are rented out. A cemetery sits right in the city center. Books lie on exchange racks. Baguettes, keep your distance signs. Methadone, amphetamines, and heroin are free, but a blackout-inducing amount of beer costs a fortune at the Vinmonopolet. Bedrooms are unheated, coffee is chugged by the liter straight from electric kettles, and the magic pill of paracetamol is prescribed for every ailment. They pronounce your name wrong. Never mind, you'll get used to it. They thank you differently, smile differently, frighteningly welcoming after the twilight of Arizona. Hey, follow the signs, V commands, her voice pulsing right inside the earpiece P. Augmented reality projects a glowing chain of footprints through her glasses straight onto the pavement, leading to a local mini-port. There, by the pier, an unmanned PPI seaplane winks invitingly with carrot-colored lights on its wingtips. The cabin canopy slides smoothly back and up. "Hi, Irene. How about you take a ride with me?" comes from the onboard speakers in a casual vocal fry. Irene steps over the low rim, sinks into the seat, and feels, if not fear, then a slight unease as securing straps slither across her body and the transparent bubble of the canopy descends from above. Without any preambles like operating on the route, the propellers begin to hum. The plane darts right from its parking spot, unfolding its wings on the go. Raindrops on the glass stretch into horizontal streams, and only by the vanishing vibrations can one guess the landing gear has left the ground. It's over an hour's flight to Hardland, the perfect time to dial Iska.
"No, you actually did it!" Iska begins with her trademark exclamation. By the specific sentence structure, accompanied by an almost liturgical Torah recitative, a native Odessan is unmistakably recognized. "Escaped," Irene answers shortly. She has absolutely no desire to remember in Bergen that very Arizona she left 36 hours ago in the back of an onion truck, illegally crossing the Arizona-Azona border. Iska cuts straight to the point. "Why are you in Bergen?" Iska can be trusted. "I'll try to get onto Troll." "No, seriously? Did you have a falling out with your brains? I mean, after Siberia, you think it'll be calmer there? My nephew from Blue Luna thought so too. Now his feet are cold." "He died?" "Nah, joking. Wanted to squeeze some juice out of the owners, like an environmental inspection. Half a mile out, everything electrical shut down on them. Completely. They also say a sea of people gets sucked in there, but it's your business. When you get to Stavanger, give darling V a kiss from me. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for you. If it pans out, you get a like from me." Iska disconnects. Irene presses her forehead against the cold, round glass bubble. The altitude is low. You can examine every tree in detail, the roofs of houses, saucer-like lakes with floating patches of yellow birch leaves, the gray fractures of cliffs, and bright green buzz-cut glades. The lakes are so transparent that every boulder is visible on the bottom. The endlessly drifting, recursive landscape plunges her into a trance. Until her forehead smacks against the glass. The cabin jolts noticeably from a sharp movement of the ailerons. V's voice comes alive next. "Did you fall asleep in there? I'll show you the fjords." With a deep bank, the plane rolls onto its wing, deviating from the optimal course, and the almost inaudible rustle of aerodynamically slicked blades is replaced by the aggressive buzzing of a disturbed beehive. The horizon drops down. The entire field of view is filled with the sky. V is pulling the machine into the clouds. Beyond the dense cotton border that the PPI pierces, the cloud turns into thick fog, unbearably brightly lit by the sun. In this white milk, the wingtips vibrate finely. Water gathers into large drops, instantly blown away by the oncoming airstream, and then the vestibular system informs the passenger of negative G-force. The PPI goes into a dive. Seconds later, the cloud is left behind, as if someone violently yanked open the curtain before the monumental Hardanger Fjord. Irene cannot hold back a gasp of surprise. Colossal stone walls soar almost vertically to left and right, to which scrubs, pines, and cedars cling in defiance of gravity. This gigantic picture is duplicated almost without distortion by an absolutely smooth mirror of water.
"How's that?" "You surprised me," Irene exhales. The plane flies low. The seaplane's keel traces a dotted foamy wake right across the water's surface. The stone walls finally part, releasing the machine into the open sea. The PPI climbs again. From here, the waves look like needles scattered across emerald blue glass. Irene hums under her breath. "Was wollen wir trinken 7 Tage lang? Was wollen wir trinken, so ein Durst?" "I get the hint. We'll drink to your arrival soon. Be patient," Vi laughs. And Troll is straight ahead now, 80 miles in a straight line. Silence hangs on the air for a few minutes. Vi breaks it first. "You haven't changed your mind?" "No." "When will we finally meet?" "Patience. First, I'll show you falls." The plane banks sharply on its wing, losing a dozen meters of altitude, and makes a turn toward the shore. Bizarre structures cling to the greenish-gray rocks like a colony of multiplying slugs. The navigation system politely requests permission to provide a historical and cultural brief. Receiving an affirmative answer, the navigator chokes on a stream of data. The Falls Recreational Zone is an ethnographic village providing shelter to sufferers from all over the world, located along the coast of the North Sea. The center is dominated by the House of All Faiths, symbolizing the spiritual wisdom of humanity. The House of All Faiths is a massive, inwardly concave concrete cone the color of rotten seaweed, designed so that any resettler can perform the ritual they need. An ethnographic street stretches behind the house. New arrivals should not feel disconnected from their roots, so all shelters are stylized after national traditions. The system continues to drone. Bobbing right on the water are Lepo, the floating homes of sea gypsies. Behind them, already on solid ground, pile up Vardo, the wagons of land gypsies. Further on stretch Arabian Arish made of palm leaves, Guatemalan adobe baharek, Ecuadorian wattle cabañas, Sudanese tukul, Samoan fale of coconut leaves, Bedouin felige of sheep's wool, and barasti of date palm. The cruel northern wind has scattered the straw and palm branches, and the slanting rains have washed the clay from the facades, exposing the frameworks. Now robots are rebuilding the defeated dwellings from authentic natural materials with mechanical stubbornness, while a handful of Samoan resettlers watch their futile attempts with sorrow.
Semi-Boyarov Hall and the Kraken. Splashdown in Hardland. The seaplane, like a swan, gracefully folds its wings in a quiet cove, and a robotic manipulator arm pulls the fuselage to the pier. The canopy goes up, the straps retract into their slots. "Why are you just sitting there? Come on over," commands the voice in the earpiece. A gravel path leads Irene to a wooden house with gigantic bluish-gray windows looking directly at the bay. A thick, foggy silence hangs around. The air smells heavily of iodine, salt, and 30-year-old rotting wood. Snails love to settle in such a humid atmosphere. Tenacious, wind-resistant flowers with the absurd name petunias trail along the top of the decorative stone fence. Irene mechanically plucks one petal and hides it in her notebook. Later she will add it to an exquisite collection of artifacts for a certain guy whose name she doesn't even know yet. "You could have met me," Irene grumbles quietly. "I hear everything," V immediately responds. The two-story Semi-Boyarov Hall, carefully masking the true level of its owner's wealth from the outside, turns out to be colossal inside. Part of the building is sunken into a rocky hill covered with moss and thick reindeer lichen. Right past the front door, wide marble steps go down, expanding the geometry of the vestibule. And where is the hostess? V's voice, amplified by the mansion's complex dynamic system, orders, "Turn right, into the workshop." Mentally cursing the quirks of artists, though she is of that breed herself, Irene descends into a gloomy, windowless hall. The walls here are completely clad in heavy lead sheets. The central installation is impossible to ignore. A long, galvanized steel autopsy table looms in the middle of the workshop. Splayed across it is the flabby, half-rotted carcass of a giant squid. V has reproduced with maniacal pedantry not only the texture of decomposing slimy flesh, but also the nauseating, receptor-hitting stench emanating from the bloated belly and the ringed tentacles with massive suckers. Nearby, in a deep ceramic sink, surgical instruments are carelessly dumped. Shiny knives, tweezers, bone saws, borers, clamps, forceps, and retractors. Under the table, through a drainage grate, the brownish-red muck of the dissected creature steadily drips into a galvanized bucket. At that moment, right under the ceiling, massive gear teeth set into motion with a heavy metallic clank. The mechanism resembles the innards of a giant antique clock, but instead of hands, it winds a thick, rusty chain to a drum. The chain ends in a butcher's hook, sunk deep into the kraken's flabby flesh. The monster slowly, with a wet crunch, rises from its bed. A dull click stops the winch's rotation. In that same second, the creature's eyelid snaps open, and a murky blue eye with a dilated, bottomless black pupil stares point-blank at the guest.
"I've had enough of this." Irene sharply turns around and strides resolutely toward the exit, but one of the tentacles, thick and resilient as a giant fire hose, uncoils with lightning speed, wraps around the massive ring-shaped door handle, and slams the door shut with a crash, cutting off her retreat. "Well, well, and who have we cut today? Looks like a little mouse," a voice purrs. The space around instantly fills with the buzzing of bumblebee mini-drones with camera lenses. "Better relax, darling." The next second, Irene goes into freefall, dropping onto a safety net stretched right at the floor, which springingly saves her under her weight. The heavy door finally swings open. Vi appears on the threshold. Dazzling, tall, dressed to the nines, bright red lipstick, perfect posture, strict as a teacher, heels clicking loudly on the concrete. Vi reaches out and scoops her friend into a hug. Lord, she is so tall. Irene's head barely reaches her chest, into which Vi forcefully presses her face. Scared? The artist laughs in a low, throaty voice. She critically examines Irene from head to toe. Now, what are we going to dress you in? Ah, I'm afraid I only have spandex and latex in your size.